Hello, lovers. How are you both?
Well, very good, thank you.
Nice to see. It's nice to hear another croaky voice, Alki, because it's early for us here in Australia, isn't it?
It is, yes. I
And
have the mother in action, so I can be semi-awake.
you have the what in action? Sorry.
The energy drink, the mother energy drink.
Oh, you're like a Red Bull kind of thing, is it?
Yeah, like a Red Bull. Yeah.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a healthy way to start the day, Alki.
Absolutely, it's beautiful.
And Matthew and Rodrigo, how are you both?
I'm good. Can you hear me now?
Sure can, Matt. Sorry about the other room; it wasn't working. And Rodrigo, you there?
I am, yeah, and all well here. It's evening time here.
Beautiful. This is a super quick chat, my friends, but it's all about this. Have a little listen.
I'm already peaking. 2 nights at Madison Square Garden, which is just mind-blowing to me, and I can't wait for the... We're going to have such a good time. But to be lighting up the Empire State Building in green and gold, thank you so much for welcoming me and for making me part of this beautiful occasion. Thank you for adding some sparkle to my day, and I can't wait to see this glorious building lit up in the colours of green and gold.
I've always held a fascination with the Empire State Building, but tell me this, have you ever... I didn't know they lit it up for random celebrities coming through the city who happen to be playing at Madison Square Garden. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited, I'm very happy. Is this normal?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I've heard them lighting it up for sort of like special occasions. Like I think they did it for Valentine's Day one time and something at Christmas time, but not for celebrities that I'm aware of. But
I was going to say as well, this is the first time I've seen it done for like a pop star or a singer, so that's really interesting. And obviously anything that draws more attention to Kylie in America, I'm obviously a big fan of.
Yeah, and Matt, I don't know. I don't want to be cynical. This is fantastic, right? On the surface, it's fantastic, but I've been digging away, think why? Why? I just don't get it. And it's in conjunction with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. So there's got to be something going on here. I'm too much of a cynic. I'm sorry. I just didn't know they went and lit the green and gold, which, by the way, are the sporting colours of Australia, for those of you who don't know. And it's a fantastic thing, but wow, I've just never heard of it being done, and I want to know why. Why are they doing it, besides the fact that Kylie's brilliant? Any thoughts, Rodrigo?
Well, yeah, quite a few. I was having this conversation with some friends of mine yesterday about like maybe I'm going too crazy here, but I think everything lines up so well now in terms of timelines. But then became go today. There's the Empire State situation, and of course, all the great reception at the Madison Square Garden for Kylie. I'm wondering if this is all part of like a big documentary when this tour is over. You know, this would be like a big project that will capture all of those amazing moments from every region. So that's what crossed my mind, because
I think you've
all the
cracked the
alignment is
code.
perfect.
Yeah, I think you've definitely cracked the code. Look, I'm going to keep apologising for being the cynic, but I don't believe that the state of New York or the people that are entrusted with the Empire State Building just reached out to Kylie and went, hey, you're playing 2 nights and you've sold out night number 1. Gee, we want to light up your national colours. I feel like Kylie's camp, or at least Australian tourism, would have got in touch and they would have done this, and coinciding with a documentary which apparently is definitely being filmed for Netflix, makes sense to everyone else on the line. By the way, what a poor host am I. Alki, meet Rodrigo. Rodrigo, meet Alki. Matt, meet Rodrigo. Rodrigo, meet Matt. Matt, meet Alki. Alki, meet Matt. Have I covered it all?
Yes.
You've
Hi,
all been on
everyone.
the show before. I consider you my lover community. So I didn't do any introductions. Apologies. But what do you think, Matt? Am I being too rough? Is it just the fact that Kylie's an icon and they want to do something for her because she's visiting the city?
Well, I think it doesn't matter if her team reached out or they reached out to her. The end result is the same, right? And I think that end result is that we're just getting more Kylie over here, and not just here, because all the fans, we're so enthusiastic about her and we love her that fans all over the world are going to see this on social media and online and via pictures and just chatting with each other. And I mean, that's who it's really for, right? All of us to celebrate her. And as Rodrigo said, like, Padam Padam went gold today. Like all these amazing things are happening all at once, and I think it's just a lovely time to kind of soak that in. So even if you do have some cynicism, I would think, in the spirit of Kylie, which to me represents like love and joy and happiness, like we have to kind of just look past the cynicism and look at the good parts of it. And it's amazing to think that here she is on the verge of 2 sold out nights at Madison Square Garden, which is a historical, monumental thing for her. So I just think there's so many positives going on to, it's just the negatives they don't matter. They're just immaterial at this point.
So, Tim, shut your face and just enjoy the ride, right? But I've got to say, you mentioned there in passing, you said all these wonderful things. It's amazing. They're all happening at once. No, Matt, they're happening at once on purpose. Padam went gold. The Empire State Building. It's not sold out, by the way. I've seen posts on Facebook that say sold out show number 1. And I think I saw one for show number 2. I went onto the site. There are tickets available. So I totally appreciate there's Kylie saturation in New York in particular at the moment and in the USA, and she's killing it. So, yep, I celebrate that. But I'm just saying, all these wonderful things don't just happen to be happening at once.
Well, no, there's obviously all this work and prep and things are reaching out on
She's
both
masterful.
sides.
Her team is masterful when you think about it.
Yes, so you're right. That's a good point. It's not just happening, but what I meant is that I don't think that we should, pick it apart. We should really absorb the moment and really, just be present and happy that all these things are happening because there's lots of artists that are, from overseas that are very masterful and can have great teams, but that doesn't mean they're going to crack America to the degree that Kylie is right now. And they may never do it. So despite all that goes into it, sometimes you still need that little bit of luck to really, break on through. And the fact that she is, I think that's the main thing. And I think all the fans are just so happy. So yeah, that's why I said that the cynicism or the negativity is immaterial.
And Matt, please, my hands are up in the air. All the listeners are on your side. They're all on your side going, oh my God, listen to him overanalyzing. Just enjoy it, Tim. And you're absolutely right. And I do. I am enjoying it. God, she looked amazing when I don't know what she was doing yesterday. She was walking through New York, but then she changed. So I don't know if it was 2 separate events. But did you see the one where she had like this furry thing around her shoulders? And
oh, that was gorgeous. Yes, that was. I think that was at the actual lighting up event, like announcing that she was basically going to be doing the lighting up of the Empire State Building. But she looked gorgeous as always. But she just
she looked about 25. Honestly,
I know. I was just like, wow. At first, I was like, is this an old picture? I'm like, no, it's now. Wow.
Is she conquering the USA like nobody's business at the moment? She's on the Residence. It's also strategic. She's Madison Square Garden. She's absolutely killed the first show in Chicago. Everyone I've spoken to has said that was electric. What's going on, Rodrigo? She's like, will she conquer Mars next? What can she not do?
She has a good team now for sure. You just mentioned about Madison Square Garden being sold out. I think venues they can report they are sold out when the tickets available are like just like almost limited. So whenever we enter a certain like band in terms of capacity, venues can report that the concerts or the events were sold out. I think that's what's going on here. They do expect.
So smart, isn't he? He's so smart. You're absolutely right. You don't have to have every single seat with a bottom on it. It's like a certain capacity that it reaches. Okay, yep, I totally accept that. Do you know, Rodrigo, the capacity of Madison Square?
That's a good question. I think the total capacity is 19,000, but because of her stage and the layout that allows Kylie, to move around the audience, I think that decreases a little bit to probably 14,000, 15,000.
All right. So the reason I'm asking, around 14,000, 15,000, just hold that, Alki, Matthew, Rod, hold that in your mind, because Rodrigo reminded me of a guest that we had on our show probably 18 months ago now. Let's just listen to what Deftones had to say.
Well, honey, Madonna's performing in 20,000 capacity arenas when your girl's performing in somebody's local basement, where you would see, honey, I know local bands from my high school that perform in capacities that are well above 1,000.
This is a choice. It's not that she can't sell out more than 1,000. This is a choice. Madam X was in small venues too.
No, hold on, Tim. If it's a choice, and it surely is, why would you choose to play in a shockingly small venue that is like a house? That's like a house band type of.
You have just exposed your ignorance of Kylie history right there. So that was Deftones on Time to Talk about 18 months ago, and he was obviously referring to the Vegas shows. He was a delighted, let's be honest, he was a delighted Madonna fiend who was just delighted that Kylie was coming over to the United States and playing a small venue. And what do you reckon, Rodrigo? How might Deftones be feeling now?
Exactly. I told you about it, right? I could not forget this particular episode because now I'm like, ha ha ha, she is selling out arenas across the world, including in this country. So I just feel like, I don't know, it's full circle here and I just feel great.
Rodrigo, it might not surprise you that Deftones is not replying to my emails.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Keep sending them. We want to know their retort now.
Absolutely. Come on the show, Deftones. You're welcome to come on. But, you have to, as they always do, the fiends of other fan communities, he'll pivot. He'll make up a new excuse. He'll rationalise it in a different way. Alki, as an Australian, looking at the Empire State Building specifically, is it a big honour, like to have the green and gold lighting up? And by the way, I thought it would have happened by now. It hasn't quite happened. It's happening in a few hours over there in the United States, I believe. Is it a big honour, Alki?
I think so. I think it's an amazing honour. I think it signifies that I think that the Kylie magic is happening in America. It's sort of building over the years, but finally, I mean, there might be more to it. There might be a documentary. It might be about tourism, but I think we have to give her a bit of a clap. Yes, she has a magical team, but there's something about her. And I think everyone's finally realizing how wonderful she really is. We've known it forever, but it's finally happening, and I think it's amazing. Yeah, it's really good.
We'll get some final words. Matthew, just so you know too, I was really interested. I've always loved the Empire State Building, probably because of King Kong when I was a kid. It was built in 410 days. I mean, I wish they can't even build a small alleyway in Melbourne in less than 2 years. It was inspired by a pencil, apparently, the shape of it. We all know about King Kong, and it's one of the most photographed buildings in the world, and it is Uber's top destination in the United States. Does any of that surprise you as somebody who's over there?
It doesn't, but I mean, I think it's more interesting when Kylie's there.
Agreed.
And so I just have to interject very quickly too. What Elke said too was absolutely true. Like we were talking about how you can have an amazing team, but it's Kylie right at the center of that. You can have the best team in the world, but if you don't have an artist with that magic, that flair, that genuine sort of draw, then it doesn't matter. So right, we've talked about team but it really does boil down to her, I think.
Yeah, ultimately. Absolutely.
And final word, Matt, I know we're early days and Madison Square Garden hasn't even happened yet. How do you think the US or the North American tour, including Canada, has been trotted out so far? How's it going?
So far it looks amazing, like from all the videos I've seen and just from people who have went. I've heard like everyone that's gone has been completely blown away. There's a guy I talked to in Eastern Canada. He went to the Montreal show. It was his first Kylie show. He's been a fan for about a little over a year, I think, but he's just like fallen really deeply in love with her. And I've loved kind of watching his fan evolution kind of happen. And he said he was completely gagged by the show. And he was just like, he says he's not normally very enthusiastic or excitable person, but he said he absolutely loved it. He wished he could see it again and again. And, he was just, it was everything he wanted. And so it's just everything I've been hearing from different people of different ages and new fans, old fans, has been really, really positive so far for the North American tour. So.
Yeah, and at the top of this show, Tara, who you wouldn't have heard yet, just said it so eloquently that to stand in a stadium with a person that you know already to be an icon, with thousands of people who may have vaguely known Kylie, but you watch them realize why she is the person that she is. That's what he said was the biggest treat for him in that arena, to watch people going, shit, this lady has something unique. He basically said all these people fell in love with her and just were charmed by her euphoric nature.
If you're not charmed, if you don't fall in love with her, then you don't have a soul.
Oh, that's the best way to end it.
I love that. That's beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful way to end it. Alki, Rodrigo, and Matt, thank you, my lovers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Tara Shea Montgomery,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm great. How are you this afternoon?
I'm very, very well. My God, I'm just listening to my own voice for a second. You're the first person I've spoken to this morning. I sound like Lucille Ball. Tell us all about it, will you? You went to the Chicago show. You saw Kylie. It was her first show in the United States, her first ever full show in the United States. Can you tell us all about it? How was it?
Oh, man, I was so just blown away. I'm actually really lucky. This is my third time to see Kylie. I got to see her at her Vegas residency in December and then at West Hollywood Pride this past summer. But this was my first time to see a full arena show, and it was just truly, really wonderful. She was so high energy. The vocals were so crisp and clear. She did higher up options on some of her ballads, like Confide in Me. She hit every single high note, full force. She didn't shy away from anything. Like, you could just tell she was excited to be there and to be back in America and have that breakthrough again.
I'm so glad you mentioned that she doesn't shy away from hitting those high notes, because I'm not running down any other artists, but there are some artists who adapt their songs so that they don't have to go for those big high notes. Maybe they can't reach them anymore at this stage in their career. Kylie doesn't back away from those high notes, does she?
No, not at all. And it's so impressive because I'm a musical theater performer and a drag queen and a vocalist myself, and I know a lot of the stamina and energy and control that goes behind that. And it is not easy. Even to do, 4 or 5 minutes on your own is not easy. So the fact that she is up there doing a high energy, fully 2-hour show and not holding back one bit is just so fun and exciting to see. And then especially when you factor into the ageism in the pop music industry, especially, to see a 57-year-old woman at the height of her career all these decades later, just absolutely slaying it on stage with costumes that aren't inappropriate but still feel fresh and original to her, costumes that aren't too try hard, dancers that are very, they're supportive of her but they don't pull focus. She's dancing full out herself. I mean, it's just truly a perfect show from start to finish.
I can tell I'm talking to someone who knows a lot about staging and the business. So you were really looking with a keen eye at everything. And it sounds like you say she just nailed the balance of this show.
Yeah, honestly, it was really cool to see because, like I said, it was my first full show from Kylie, but I've obviously watched, many DVDs and YouTube videos of Follies or even like the X tour, the Anti tour, and just stuff like that. And I was really looking forward to that big, extravagant, like Kylie show experience. But also, that's not where she's at in her career. She's embracing modern technology and cool new cutting edge graphics and lighting projections that a lot of artists aren't even using yet. So it's just really cool to see how she's constantly reinventing herself, not even just musically, but visually and in her stage presentation, and in just such an effortless way. It's really fun to watch.
So you went to the Vegas show, you said. You've seen her a few times, but how did this stack up to the Vegas show?
It was really a really cool comparison because the Vegas show was my first time seeing her, so I was just grateful to be in the room. I was very fortunate to be at the table she danced on, so it was cool to just have her that close and have it be such an intimate show. It was also high energy, but also stripped back in a lot of ways because it was just her, the dancers, and the stage. This tour almost kind of felt like the Vegas residency expanded upon. Like, even though it's an arena, it still feels intimate because she has those moments with the audience where she's coming through the crowd, she's getting on that B stage, she's taking requests, she's interacting with people. You don't feel far from her at all. And it kind of captured some of that intimacy of the Vegas show. And then the actual production quality, I would say, was where it's extended upon. It's bigger lights, it's bigger video intros, it's flashier costumes. But it kind of just felt like Vegas show extreme. Like more music, bigger lights, but still intimate.
So I'm really interested in this as a fan who goes right back to the beginning. Kylie's natural habitat is the arena, a big, big show, right? So for you, where do you think she felt more natural? Where did you see the real Kylie? Was it Vegas? Or did you, for the first time seeing her in arena, did you go, aha, this is where she's meant to live?
Interestingly enough, I think it was the arena. She was just so alive. And when I tell you everybody in that arena was just so grateful to even have her back in the States doing what she's doing, the love in the room, the energy in the room was like palpable. You could feel it. It literally brought her to her knees on stage. Like she collapsed to the ground and just, I think, truly a moment of being overwhelmed and grateful for all the love and excitement there. Like she received a standing ovation after her first opening number before she even got into the rest of the show. It was crazy.
A standing ovation. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? Hey, Tara, which is your stage name, I'm assuming, there's been some talk that the American shows, the numbers are low. I don't think it's necessarily true. Was the stadium or the arena packed? Was it full?
It was definitely full. I was a little worried at first during the opening act, to be honest, because it looked about half empty, but I also know a lot of people sometimes want to just get to the meat and potatoes of the concert, and so they come in later. By the time that we were, the diamond light projection was on and the room kind of lit back up again from that first big blackout, I looked around the arena and it was full. But then by the end of the show, it was like full. Like, you turn your camera and pan, and it's just thousands and thousands of people. And I think what people have to remember is, like, with American arena tours, I think we have a tendency to compare them to artists like Beyonce and Taylor Swift, who are doing 3 and 4 nights in these stadiums and arenas and selling out every single time. But also, we've got artists like Lady Gaga who are doing smaller arena tours with 11 cities because the numbers just aren't there anymore. Like, live music is just hard to sell to people in today's economy, especially in American economy right now. It's a mess over here. People don't really have a lot of extra money to go to shows anymore. And actually, I think Kylie's team was really smart because $55 entry price point for tickets is fantastic.
Is that considered relatively cheap over there, is it?
Oh, absolutely. $55 for a ticket is astoundingly cheap.
To be honest, the conspiracy theorists they'll be contacting me now, Tara. They'll be saying, see, she only sold it out because she maybe reduced the price of a ticket.
I wouldn't even chalk it up to that. I think that it was just a great entry price point. I think she knows that a lot of her fans here right now in this go around are going to be, younger college kids who got into Padam in the tension era. And college kids don't have a lot of money. I think it's affordable, but there were still premium tickets and people willing to pay the thousands of dollars, for those upfront seats. I think she had a really, really smart range of pricing here. I can't speak to it in other countries though because I didn't even look. But I do think it was very affordable, but also lots of great options, and nothing seemed inappropriately priced, even down to the tour merch. I wasn't like, that's astronomical. A $45 T-shirt, that makes sense to me.
Okay. The big question on everyone's lips has been, how will a full Kylie show, we know she's been there before, the first time she's brought the full show to the United States. The question was, how will American fans receive it? Because it's not a big spectacle like a Madonna show necessarily. There's not lots of props. There's not lots of moving pieces. It's very simplistic staging. How did the American audience receive it in Chicago?
The amount of applause and just audible screaming that happened was insane. It was just so loud, so boisterous. It went on for minutes. Everyone just left feeling truly like enlightened and electrified. And I think a lot of that, I would honestly say Kylie doesn't even have to have anything on the stage to do that. I think her music is so positive and uplifting and just full of joy that it's almost impossible to be in that space with her and not leave feeling that way. I think a lot of the American fans discovered why people have loved her for decades. I think they see why people are like, I would say career Kylie fans. Like, you don't just like Kylie a little bit, you're like all in or you're not. And I think everybody who was in that arena last night, if they were just there for a taste of it, they left being all in. It was definitely cool to watch.
Oh, Tara, you've actually got me really weepy. That's so cool because you can't just watch Kylie on the TV and YouTube and the film clips. You got me quite emotional. You gave me goosebumps with what you just said there because you can't be in her presence. You can't be in that arena and not feel the humanity that she pours into the audience. So those comparisons between her and Madonna and all, like, I understand there are similarities, but she gives something that no other artist gives. Nothing better, nothing less, just something totally unique, right?
Yeah, I really, really feel like, and not to say other artists don't go out there and leave their heart on the stage, but I feel like Kylie transcends leaving her heart on the stage and like gives her heart to each person in that audience. And it's in different ways too. It's in the vocals, it's in the eye contact that she makes with you in the middle of the room. It's everything. It was just really magnetic, and to be in an arena of that size and still feel close to her and still feel like she sees me in this room full of people, it's hard to describe or even put into words.
To have it confirmed that there were American fans in that arena who had the aha moment where they like, now I get why this lady is such an icon, because so many people in that arena, Tara, would have been their first experience with a live Kylie show, especially in an arena for some. I just think that's tremendous. Now, listen, funnily enough, I haven't even asked you, so let me ask you really briefly, because we're on the phone and you're driving back from Chicago as we speak. Tell me about the show.
Yeah.
Like, what were the highlights for you?
Okay, definitely like my number one highlight. I love the request section. I'm so glad she does that because I can only imagine how hard it is for her to actually put together an effective set
I
list
heard that she had
please
4
everyone.
requests. Sorry to interrupt you, especially on a dodgy line. I heard she did 4 request songs.
She did.
That's
They
unheard
were
of.
like she powered through little clips of them, but it was nice to have that because one song I was just dying to hear because it's gotten me through like a lot of dark points in my life is No More Rain. And
Beautiful.
I was just hoping somebody would request that. And front and center, right in front of that B stage, was a gentleman with a No More Rain poster. And she saw it, and she gave us, I would say, like at least the chorus and maybe a little bit of a verse. And it was nice to just, even if I just got that taste of it, to know that I had that moment.
And Tara, you're
Was
aware
great.
that
The request,
you're aware that she wrote that song while she was recovering from cancer, correct?
absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons I find it so inspiring and hopeful is because you can aside from the lyrics and the meaning of the song, you can literally just like hear the hope and the positivity and the growth and change in her in that moment, and it inspires me when I listen to it. It just takes over.
I heard she also did your disco needs you, come into I believe in you, and then there was one more that doesn't come to mind. That's 3. Do you remember what the 4th was?
Yeah. So the first thing that you mentioned, she kind of did like little snippets of, and then the last one that she did acoustically, the whole song was The One.
Oh, yes.
Which I love.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. Now, I will say, I'm a little sad that I did not get to hear Story. That's one of my favorite songs from the Tension era. I would love to fit that into the set list somewhere, but I also know that is a beast of a song vocally. So I do hope one day somewhere somebody requests that. If y'all hear this, please request Story at one of the cities, because I would love to hear that live.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. In fact, not even as a request, the full glory of that song. Yeah, maybe she'll put it in somewhere. Any final highlights for you, Tara, before I let you go?
Definitely just that disco ball confetti moment is like goosebump inducing, chills in your spirit, beautiful. It doesn't matter if you even know the song. You could be a total stranger who's never heard of Kylie Minogue before, and if you walked in the arena at that moment, you would just literally lose your breath. It's just so beautiful.
Tara, I'm going to let you go, but I am curious as an American fan, how long have you been on the Kylie train for?
Okay, so that's kind of a fun question for me. Unaware that I was on the Kylie train since I was like 9 or 10 years old when I first heard Can't Get You Out of My Head, and I loved the song, but I was too young to know artists who sing stuff. It wasn't until about 8 years ago I was working an event in LA, and the party was Kylie versus Madonna. And every song that came on that was Kylie, I'd be like, I love this song. Who sings this? And the DJ was like, it is either or it is Madonna. And I realized how many Kylie songs I actually already knew and loved. And I was like, well, I must just really love this artist. And then I went all in. I think my first in the moment album was Kiss Me Once era, that I was actively listening in real time. And then from then on. But yeah, I guess since Can't Get You Out of My Head, I just wasn't aware.
Well, that is, yeah, I love that story. You just, somehow you knew, it was like magnetic attraction, wasn't it? Tara, should people look you up? You said I think the terminology you used was drag queen. I didn't know if we're allowed to use that anymore, but tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a drag entertainer in Mississippi. I perform all over the southeast region of America. But they can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tara Shea Montgomery, or on TikTok at TSMLAX. And actually, I have a lot of Kylie videos on my Facebook and TikTok currently from this trip. I'll also be going to Atlanta and Austin to see Kylie. And I'm hoping to end up in LA for her last U.S. show, too. So definitely all the videos will be there.
Tara Shea Montgomery. People look Tara up. It's been amazing talking to you. I've loved talking to you. Can you come on the show and maybe we'll get you on the online studio next time and have a proper chat after you've seen her at the next few shows? Sound okay?
Yeah, I would love that. Absolutely. I'll get to my home studio and give you a nice, fresh, clear audio.
But it's been great talking to you while you're actually on the road on your Kylie trip. It's been fantastic. Thanks for talking to me, Tara.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for calling me and asking about the show. It's always great to speak to another lover. I hope you have a great day.
You look like fun to me. You look a little like somebody I know, and I can tell you how this ends. I'll be in your head all weekend. Shivers and butterflies. I get the shivers when I look into your eyes, and I can tell that you're all in, 'cause I can hear your heart beating. I hear it and I know, I know you want
G'day, Jason. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you, Tim?
I'm very, very well. It's lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
So, should I be scared because you're a Madonna fan and you went and saw the Tension tour? Should I be frightened? Are you luring me into a trap of some kind?
No, I'm worried that you're going to lure me into a trap.
No, I love Madonna fans. They're very old and crotchety, but they're fine.
That's right. There's a market for everything. That's what I always say.
There is. But had you seen Kylie before you went to see her in Taiwan?
This was the first official tour, or first official concert I've seen her in. I've seen her perform, I guess, when she first came back with her Light Years album in London at the GAY Club.
Oh.
Yeah, so she kind of did a premiere there. Yeah, pretty much it was just like just a few songs from the album, just like I said, it's a CD launch, so
wow.
You know, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, so a long time between Kylie drinks.
Yes, for sure.
Wow. And what I love is, you know, that I've spoken to Daniel, who saw the show in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But you wanted to give, this could be the first perspective that we have of somebody who was in, by your words,
yes.
Nosebleed seats.
That's right. So like I said, my background is like I've never traveled anywhere to see an artist, not even Madonna. Like if Madonna comes to my city in Canada, that's where I'm originally from, I would totally just go see her in that home city. But this is the first time I actually traveled for an artist to go see them live.
Where did you travel from, though? Do you live in Canada?
Taipei. No, I live in Taipei.
Okay, got it.
So I'm an expat in Taipei. Yeah, it was pretty much a last-minute decision. Like, you know, I saw the concert kind of advertised about 6 months ago, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to see her because, I'm from the West, and then I've been dying to see somebody Western perform, like, here in Taiwan, because there's very few Western artists that come here. So the opportunity came. Yeah,
I wasn't sure of that. So like your Gagas, your Madonnas, your Britney in the day, they don't pass by Taiwan too often.
Not really. The last person I think I was planning to go see was Dua Lipa, and that was November 2 years ago, I think. But yeah, I didn't get to see that one.
Was she at the same arena?
No, the Dua Lipa actually came to Taipei, whereas Kylie didn't come to Taipei this time. She went to Kaohsiung.
So how did you end up with nosebleed seats?
Well, it was a last-minute decision. Like I said, I went by myself, and pretty much my friends were like, "Oh, you got to go. This is like, when's going to be the next time you're going to see her?" And I was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, it is on the weekend, but tickets are still kind of pricey for really really high seats that are people won't be able to see much anything." And they're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. You just got to go for the experience, the whole Kylie experience." And I'm like, I just decided to live life and just took the bull by the horns and just bought a ticket and went.
Good for you. And who were those people egging you on? You have to go and see Kylie. Who are those people?
They are Kylie diehard friends in Vancouver, and they're going to see her April 26th.
Oh, you don't happen to know Aiden, do you?
Aiden, no.
Oh, good. No. I thought the whole world leads back to Aiden. Aiden's probably Canada's biggest Kylie fan. He's been on the show before.
Okay.
Matthew, who's been on the show recently, knows Aiden. So I thought maybe you were referring to him. Because they're a diehard group in Canada, aren't they, the Kylie fans?
Yeah, it's definitely. Yes. Is he from Vancouver?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Canada's a pretty big country.
But the Kylie population there is small but diehard and dedicated.
It is. Yeah. Very, very much so. Very much so, yeah. So my friends convinced me to go and kind of said, it's all about the experience. It doesn't matter what seat you have, just go. And I'm totally glad that I did. And I've been saying this on the show for quite some time now. I was very curious to know what the Tension tour did look like from afar, because as we know, many shows are staged so that you can get the full experience from further back. It's all very well people who want the front row seats, but further back. So what was it like to watch the Tension tour from further back? Well, pretty much it didn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that most people have, which totally suited this tour. Like she didn't need all the the machinery or things that kind of like would lift her up and fly her around the stadium. It was a very simple concert, and the screens were pretty big, but my seats were pretty much parallel with the stage. So for me to kind of see the screens, it was kind of distorted.
Oh, you were side on.
I was side on and pretty much in section 502, which is like the parallel with the stage and like nosebleed.
Right.
So the sound was pretty good, but
so that's the first time. Sorry to interrupt you, Jason. But
no problem.
Really, whenever I hear something for the first time, I want to call it out. So you're telling us that from the side, one of the things that you might miss the full throttle experience is the screen, the screening, because they are one of the highlights of the show, right?
Exactly. Yeah. From what I could tell with the screens I could see, there's a lot of really cool visuals that were happening that I really wish I could have seen. Like, a lot of colors, a lot of fast moving lights that kind of went with the like EDM kind of mixes that kind of go into their songs. So
right.
Yeah, but the sound was actually really good. I was really quite happy with the sound, and the crowd my section was not so happy because they're kind of always on their phones and not really into it. But I guess as the concert went on,
those cheap bastards. First of all, they won't fork out for a good ticket. And then second of all, they just sit there on their phones. No,
Exactly.
Tell us more about that. I really genuinely want to know. Like, are you telling me people while the show was on were genuinely scrolling, not taking photos, not taking videos?
Nope. They were just texting each other, like friends, I guess, that weren't at the concert saying, oh, I'm just kind of, I wasn't reading what they were saying. But yeah, it was definitely just like social media apps kind of just texting back and forth.
And what made you were they just sitting down real casual like? Is that what made you think they were just casual texting?
Yeah, they weren't really into it. They're just kind of like, just kind of saying, I guess like when the song that kind of new kind of came on, they kind of got more into it. But I guess more of the stuff that was on her latest albums, I guess they didn't really know. So they just kind of like sat back and just kind of like, yeah.
So hold the phone, folks. Jason's just giving us a piece of information here because, Jason, I never expect anyone's listened to all of the episodes, but I've done them all. So the theme so far has been that, she hasn't done enough of Tension. She didn't do enough of Tension 2. It's a greatest hits tour. Yet you are telling us exactly what I've been saying, that if the purpose of this is to go and visit territories she rarely visits, like the United States, Taiwan, of course she has to do the big hits, and you're saying that they were the songs that the audience responded to.
Exactly. Yeah, like Locomotion, as soon as that came on, everyone kind of got up for that one.
You're kidding, really?
Yeah,
wow.
Locomotion, and even like, Can't Get You Out of My Head, when she started singing like, that first, chorus, no, no, no.
Oh, yeah.
The crowd just totally got into that. So everyone knew.
Did they stand?
Yeah, definitely. Like the really dancey songs, everybody stood up, had their phones up. When they, when there was like a slow song, they would have their flashlights on. And it was like the most phenomenal scene I'd ever seen. Like a sea of like cell phone lights, just like waving back and forth to her, singing like a ballad or anything like that. That was kind of really cool.
It's eerily beautiful when the phones go on, isn't it?
Yeah.
We shouldn't really be celebrating this hideous age of technology, but it's not as nice as a candle. But I guess we can't be burning arenas down anymore.
That is true.
Yeah. So, but which songs were they scrolling? Like the Tension songs, you basically said.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I guess. Like I said, I'm more of the light years and from that point on, I'm not really familiar with Tension because that's more of the newer stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, pretty much like a lot of for the first song, Lights, Camera, Action, that one came on, and everybody obviously was into that because it was her coming onto the stage. I was kind of disappointed that she didn't descend on a swing like I'd seen on YouTube.
Yeah, so in your arena, it wasn't set up for the swing, was it? No, in fact, none of the Asian locations on the tour, there were no swings. I don't believe in any of Tokyo. No, I still don't think even in Tokyo. So that's a bit disappointing.
That was the one thing I was actually holding out for, with my seats being up way up there. I was like looking along the rafters, and I'm like, okay, she's gonna be up there. This is gonna be the one thing that would make these seats worth it. But she wasn't.
You were looking for any sign of Kylie.
Yeah, exactly.
Any evidence? Where's the pulley system? You were wondering, Jason.
Hi Tim, loving the show. I like to tune in on the weekend in between scrambling my eggs and slicing my turnips and hear about everything that's going on in the world of pop culture. Keep up the good work and keep on cooking up these amazing episodes on the Time to Talk show. Love, Gordon Ramsay.
Can I go back to something you said? You said you don't know Tension so well.
Not really.
Is that because Tension wasn't big in Taiwan?
Well, when Padam came on, that was obviously a catchy tune, and I was definitely into that. But like after that, I kind of like, I liked a lot of her like her older stuff. A lot of her newer stuff seems a bit more kind of like auto-tuned, if I may say. Like, wow. I don't know. I think it kind of sounds a little bit more engineered than her older stuff. Yeah.
And you're not the only person to say that. I've had a guest, might have been Nathan from the UK. G'day, Nathan, if you're listening. He came on and said Tension 2, which is my preference over Tension. He said it just doesn't sound like Kylie.
Yeah. And like, and I get it. Like, when people age, your voices change and you kind of want to have the same sound.
Oh, no. Don't. Are you saying Kylie's voice is degrading over time?
No, I'm not saying it's degrading. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying that, like all artists will probably need that little extra bit of
No,
engineering kind of.
no. You're not saying
You don't think
Kylie
so?
needs auto-tune, do you?
No. I'm not saying she's auto-tuned, but it does sound like she does have
Well,
like a
what are
back
you
vocal
saying,
with
Jason?
her. Like there's a back vocal with her song, like singing.
You can't criticize Kylie's voice.
Oh no, I'm not criticizing. I'm not judging it. I'm just that's what I'm hearing.
I'm teasing you, Jason. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I don't want to make
Jason.
any Kylie fans mad. This is my first time on the show.
You bloody Madonna fan. I knew you had a secret hidden agenda there. I knew it. No, I'm just ribbing you. First time in the fortress, I should be gentle. Be gentle, right? You're a school teacher.
I am.
At high school or primary?
Primary.
Do the hip and groovy kids in primary school listen to Kylie?
Well, when I wear my Kylie swag to school the next day, they're kind of like looking at my shirt and they're like, Kyle? Who's Kyle? And I'm like, no, it says Kylie. There's an I there. I teach you English. You should know this.
Yeah, it was a bit of indictment on your teaching, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really,
so I kind of showed them like some footage that I'd taken from the concert on my YouTube channel, and they were kind of like, oh, it looks cool. The concert was cool. Then when I actually showed who Kylie was, her face, and doing a Google search, and they immediately, oh, I've heard of her. I've seen her before. Yeah, she just got a really nice voice. And they were kind of like really excited. I think they're all a bit too young for Kylie because, I don't think they're really into that kind of music. I don't really know what grade 4s listen to nowadays, but I think Kylie's more for our generation. I don't know how old you are, but I am quite the fossil.
Yeah, but the thing is, first of all, I'm fascinated that your school community allows you to wear Kylie swag as a teacher into school. That's a pretty casual school you're at there, Jason.
Yeah. Well, I am the coolest teacher on campus, so that kind of helps.
Yes, of course. The coolest fossil on campus, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And let's be honest, do you take advantage as a teacher when it comes to maybe, I don't know, the music curriculum, to say, oh, today we're just going to look at a few 80s and 90s video clips to get you in the mood? Do you indoctrinate them into the Madonna, the Prince, the Michael Jackson for Kylie?
I tried the Madonna thing, and they totally did not like it.
Well, you've got to be very cautious with the Madonna thing, don't you?
I showed stuff from the True Blue era, from the
Innocent,
innocent kind of phase before.
And how did that go?
They kind of thought it was dated. They didn't quite like it. When I showed them pictures of her, they thought she was ugly, and I was like, okay.
Oh, but then again, they said she was ugly
Swift too. Well, I showed pictures of Taylor Swift, and Asian kids have a very weird, not weird, but they have a very specific idea of what they think is pretty.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, anybody who's K-pop, they are totally down with. They know all the dance moves, they know all the lyrics, even though they don't speak Korean. It's kind of really interesting how they glom onto these TikTok dances and whatnot that you see online. But a lot of the Western stuff that happens, unless they're really big, even Taylor Swift, they don't really know who she was until I actually mentioned her.
You're joking, really?
Yeah,
that's fascinating. I would have thought that she's like a disease. She's like COVID. I would have thought that she's infected the entire planet, but there's little territories that are safe from the Swifts.
Well, she only did go to Singapore and Asia, so maybe that might have a reason why she's not so big here.
Interesting, though, that you do use your position as a teacher to try and educate.
I try what I can.
Areas,
I have a very free structure here in my school. They pretty much said that I'm my own boss. I just kind of got to make them like English and got to make them like me, and that's pretty much it for the rules.
Yes. So to make them like you, you're going down your little list. You've crossed off Madonna's True Blue era. That's not going to work, right?
No.
So let's go back to Attention to Him.
Sure.
Tell me about your experience. I've asked you basically to be my traveling eyes, but what was your experience like?
Well, I kind of thought when I first got there, I thought I was going to be late because usually most bands have an opening act, but there was no opening act. I thought that was, there's just, I guess they played at some DJ sets that had Robin playing on the speakers. And I was like, when I was messaging Daniel, I'm like, oh my God, I'm 10 minutes away. And he's like, oh, you better get here now because Kylie's the stage is lit up and Kylie's about to come on. And I was
what time did she come on?
She might have about, I think, 7:45, and the show was supposed to start at 7:30. So I left.
She's very punctual, isn't she? Hey.
Yeah, I was totally thinking it's gonna be like a Madonna show. She's not gonna, it starts at 9, but she'll get on at midnight, kind of thing. I kind of thought I had a lot of time to go buy, merch and all that stuff. But no, when I got there, I was literally running from the cab up the stairs to my, seats up in up into the
So you had to add an extra 15 minutes after you climbed the staircase, right? Yeah, that's right.
Pretty much.
I love it.
But yeah, luckily I got there just in time. Yeah. To get
do you have any idea what the capacity is in the arena you were in?
That I have no idea. It wasn't a full house.
It wasn't a full house.
It wasn't a full
But she only did one show there.
Yeah, she did one show. The floor seats were full, and I think where Daniel was sitting, that sector was the I guess the upper floor. They were kind of full, but like pretty much up where I was, I had like maybe 2 or 3 seats besides me. They were full. Daniel said he had 1 seat beside him that was empty, so I actually could have gone down there. But they had ticket checkers everywhere.
Wow, but I heard from Daniel, who, for those of you who haven't heard Daniel's episode, go back and listen to Daniel's review of. Believe it or not the Taiwanese show. He reviewed the Sydney show, I think. Yeah. But Kylie and Daniel have both said, Kylie herself, that was a next level. So basically the energy in that place was particularly huge. Would you agree with that summary?
The one in Kaohsiung, yeah, I definitely would. Like, I was actually kind of surprised of how the crowd was energized, because usually most Asian crowds, I find if they don't know the words to this music, they're kind of more reserved. They're kind of like, they kind of sit in their seats. They kind of maybe sway, but this crowd was like jumping. Like wow. Daniel said, the stage, he felt his section bouncing up and down. I wouldn't doubt it. Like it was there was a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy. Everybody was so happy to see her. Everybody was screaming. I guess when she came out off the main stage to go to that stage in the middle, and she kind of did the quest song, that was kind of cool. And I guess there's that one woman who was on her cell phone when Kylie was actually trying to talk to her, texting away, and it was kind of funny how she called her out on that. Yeah, it was hilarious.
And what was the request song?
Wild Rose.
And sorry, are you saying that when Kylie's on the center stage and she's hustling for requests, she called someone out for being on their phone?
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't hear that story. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so pretty much when she had a rose, she's like, all right, who's going to be my wild rose? And she was walking around that center stage, and finally she picked a woman who she threw a rose to, but she never got. She said, oh, I'll give you my last rose because, I meant to throw this one to you, but you never got it. So, here's another rose for you. So what can I sing for you? And at that point, she was on her phone. The camera was on her. She was on the big screen, and she's texting away. And she's like, oh, she's texting. I'll just wait till she's done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
She was really, humorous about it. She wasn't like being really serious.
No.
I'll just wait till she's done.
Was the woman just nervous, or was she genuinely texting that close to the
I think she was texting the experience that, oh my God, Kylie gave for me a flower. I think that's probably what she was doing, but she kind of got a bit carried away. And even the friend behind her was kind of tapping her on the shoulder. It's like, you're on the big screen, honey. Like, we can get off your phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue, there was Jason up the back going, I should have been down there.
I know. I was yelling, get off your phone.
You don't deserve it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What are Taiwanese audiences generally like? Okay, so you might have heard me ask the question with people who went to the Australian shows. Yep. What did you wear? And it's some people are openly admitting they wore shorts and thongs and a t-shirt and stuff like that. When the Taiwanese turned up for the Tension tour, are they dressed up to the nines? Is it very casual? Is it a younger crowd? Is it a gay crowd? Is it kids?
I think the ones who were on the floor, the ones who could afford those seats, they were a very gay crowd. Definitely. Right. There's a couple of people who were dressed up, in the whole can't get you out of my head outfits they had in the video where there was like that loose fabric.
That's nice.
Yeah, a lot of foreigners were also kind of dressed up, according to their era, like that they kind of identified with. There's a lot of drag artists. I guess they're dressed in drag. I was hoping to see Nymphia win there, but I guess she didn't. She wasn't there.
You'll have to tell me who's that.
Nymphia, when she was the winner of Drag Race.
I knew Drag Race was going to come up. Anytime I don't know a reference in pop culture, it's from Drag Race.
Yeah, she's like the Taiwanese winner of the last season.
Got it. Is that your clock?
That's just the school bell. It's just like school's out now.
Are you at school?
I am. I'm in my office right now. Yeah.
Gee, it is a casual school community.
Yeah, pretty much Wednesday afternoons, it's like they have meetings, and my meeting got canceled, so I've just been sitting in my office.
Can we just hear that bell? Hold on, everyone. Isn't that a beautiful way for the kids to know that school's out? That really is. That's very gentle.
It is very gentle.
When I worked in school communities in a past life, they played Ed Sheeran at home time, and that was horrific. Yes.
I was like, I cringed kind of at that too. I was like, oh, sorry.
Can you imagine being on bus duty? You know, half the kids are trying to flee for their lives because of the Ed Sheeran song. There you go. But that's beautiful little bell there. I love that. That. So, sorry, you were saying that there was a very diverse group, but the closer you got to the stage, the gayer it got.
Very much so, very much so. And the further you got to my section, the more casual it got. So people were wearing, sleeveless shirts, just like I wore a sleeveless Christian Dior number with I guess plaid pants and I guess I just more emo, but I wasn't.
I'm learning about fashion, so I just want to repeat back what I heard: a sleeveless Christian Dior number with plaid pants.
Yeah.
Right. So I have no idea what any of that means, but it's lovely. What type of shoes did you wear?
I wore black dress shoes.
Black
square-toed, square-toed black shoes. Yes.
Okay. Very good. I'm just taking notes here because I'll wear that for the next one. Although in Australia you don't have to. They were barely wearing, practically had singlets on. Yeah, I was worried it was going to be too hot. Yeah. Well, is it hot in Taiwan at this time of year?
When Kylie performed, it actually wasn't. It was actually kind of cold when the concert actually let out. So it was actually, not at that time. It wasn't very cold. Very warm, no.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners. Amateurs, is this the best that they could do?
Tell us about what parts of the show you absolutely got enthralled by.
When she definitely sang "Say Something" and everybody had their, cell phones out. Like I've never, even at a Madonna concert, I've never seen that. And it was just kind of just the sea of lights of everybody moving in unison, everybody kind of, feeling as one. Just the whole message was just like, it really hit me. And
the disco ball is there, I think, at that stage too, right?
It was, yes. And that I was kind of amazed of how that thing was able to reflect all that light. I was just like, wow.
I'm finally going to share this with someone, Jason. I have strange thoughts. I'm really worried. Like, is that secure, that disco ball? What would happen if it wasn't secured properly one night? I just don't think they should position her right underneath it. They should position her a bit to the side in case something goes wrong.
I think she's going to stop walking under it.
Well,
just don't tempt fate and just walk around. Just do your act around on the
perimeter,
of the stage.
Right? Exactly right.
Don't tempt fate.
One of the most ironic, or maybe poetic, I don't know what the word is, but if Kylie went out, I'd prefer she went out dancing and not squished by a disco ball.
Yeah, that of course, but then in the same breath, though, she wouldn't see it coming, so she'd still be in her element, doing her thing, being happy. So that's the upside of it, I guess.
It'd be like a squashed unicorn, wouldn't it? It'd be a very colourful blob.
Yeah, everybody's screaming. It'd be beautiful and horrifying at the same time.
Sorry, Kylie. Terrible thought, but it comes from a genuine place of concern. I promise you. I keep watching the YouTube clips, going, "Oh, I wish you wouldn't walk under that bloody thing." Because anything.
But they must have it secured because, Madonna came down on a disco ball during the Girly Show tour when she sang "Express Herself," and she's, she came down on a disco ball. So, I think those things would be secure.
We're briefly going to navigate the ugly truth, the elephant in the room, if you will, Jason.
Okay.
Madonna's number one to you, isn't she?
She is. Like I said, this is the first time I've traveled anywhere for an artist. So for me to travel for Kylie was a big thing for me. Like,
did you feel like you were betraying Madonna? Did you?
No, not really betraying Madonna because Madonna's been here. But all she has to she just has to come to Taipei, and I'm there. But she chose to not do an Asian segment tour on her, celebration tour, and that's on her.
Yeah, no Australian dates, no Asian dates. That's right.
I was like, what's that all about? But anyways, that's a whole.
I think it's something to do with her bionic hip.
At least she's still moving. She's still got it, I think. But yeah, okay.
Of course. But Madonna's your number one, right?
Number one, yes.
Let's put it in strength-based language. What have they got in common? These two wonderful, brilliant, iconic, enduring women.
They've got a large repertoire of work to kind of back up why they are where they are today. They've started in the 80s, they've lasted the 90s, the 2000s, and they're still here.
Yeah.
A lot of people say Madonna's not aging gracefully, but I think they're both aging gracefully. They're both kind of, trying to adapt to the needs of the industry. And I think they're both doing well. Madonna's had I can admit that Madonna's had a few hit and misses. Some of her stuff that she's come up with lately was Madam X, I did not care for at all.
Yeah, but if we thought Madam X was a misstep, you ain't seen nothing yet until she came out with the bloody Frozen and Material Girl. And what was the other? She had 3, didn't she? Oh, Popular. I suppose that was all right.
Yeah, that was all right. I think the next thing she's gonna do is like, usually this is the trend. She'll come up with 2 really crappy albums, and then there's an epic dance album coming.
Oh, is that how it works? Is it?
Yeah, I definitely think that's what's happening next.
Well, look, I hope as much as anyone that the Confessions 2, if that's what it's, the working title, let's call it, I hope it's going to be a brilliant. Oh, it can't be too bad with Stuart Price, and Madonna combining and joining forces, right?
That's true. Yes, for sure. Those 2 are an awesome couple, like power couple in terms of music.
Yeah. Do you ever wonder if artists like Kylie and Madonna should consider an exit plan rather than trying to, like, we admire them for being enduring and for sticking their fingers up in different ways, both the artists, at the world and saying, I'll do this for as long as I want. But do you think that they should want to consider either exiting or winding down? Or do you think that's just a controversial and sexist question in itself?
I think that is just a need that people are putting onto them. They should live life, be happy, do what they need to do for as long as they want to do it, as long as they're happy doing it. It's an art. Art is subjective, right? So, it all depends on who the audience is. You're not going to make everybody love you. That is the thing. And I think that's the thing that I think both these artists have realized. You can't please everyone. So you just got to, find your market and find something that kind of like is viral, I guess, quote unquote viral, and kind of go with that and work with that and to just milk it for all it's worth and then move on to the next thing. Right.
Look, I totally respect that argument, but look, the counter argument from a fan perspective is once your icon, the person you love, whoever that may be, starts to look foolish in front of the world, you do, whether you support them 1,000,000% or not, you start to think, oh, please, because there are moments where Madonna, it's
probably
just
agree with you on this.
Globally embarrassing. I'm really sorry to say that. I love her more than most people do, and I admire and respect her right to keep going. However, what I don't like for her is the fact that she makes a spectacle of herself at times.
Yeah, I know. Like, I pretty much agree with you on that. So she's made some bad choices. Like, and I think she's got to surround herself maybe with better people. Kind of like when you get a bad haircut, hopefully I would have that friend to be like, oh, hey, what's going on with that? Like, I would want that friend to kind of tell me that I'm doing that.
Has anyone ever told you that?
Haircut? Yeah, but I don't think she has enough of those people around her. She has enough people. The people who she surrounds herself with are the ones you're just like, oh,
all right. If she had you in her inner circle,
oh my god,
what was the moment? Yeah, I know, it's scary, right? The mind boggles. But if you were in her inner circle, what moment over the past 2 to 5 years, would you have gone up and said, look, my dear, we need to sit down and have a talk?
Pretty much, like, I guess after the whole, I thought the whole Madam X thing was interesting. Like, it was I guess it was suited for a particular market. She wanted to do a downscale tour in theaters, and because she really enjoyed the theater, and I get that. But the choices she's made after that, like, the whole, how it's like, it's okay to get old. Like, but you kind of have to kind of like, you don't want to like dress. You're not really dressed appropriately, because I know she's Madonna. She's always a trendsetter in like what she wears. But there are some things that she's worn to certain events that are just kind of like, oh, really? Like, you don't think you're gonna get any backlash for that? Like, it's just like she's just got to surround herself, or just like, I kind of figured she would kind of be able to determine that for herself because she is so independent. But I don't know. Just maybe she's getting old, and her mind is kind of like, she's kind of more kind of receptive to just what other people think now instead of what she usually does on her own. I don't know.
And it's just such a vexed question, to be honest, because, the human species has never lived as long as this, never been as energetic at certain ages. I mean, there was a really interesting post not so long ago, and some of you sent it to me. Thank you for all those that did. Anne Haddie was younger than Kylie. Anne Haddie, who played Helen on Neighbours, was younger than Kylie when she started in the role. And Anne Haddie is, a very old character, old moral values, very conservative look. And Kylie's actually older than her now and looks so much younger and sexier and more vital.
Yeah.
So what is dressing age appropriate anyway? And as we know, if you tell Madonna that she should, then she won't.
She's not going to do it anyways. Well, I don't know.
Especially
I think she's going to do whatever she wants anyways, because she's earned that right. Even though, because we both know they don't have, even though they do present this facade of having tough skin, it hurts. I'm sure it does hurt. They can't be like, oh, I'm invincible because I'm Madonna or I'm Kylie. I am who I am. Yeah. Well, but it's just like, it's got to cut, and at some point, kind of, you got to feel that.
Madonna confesses that in quite a few of her tracks, doesn't she? There's one on Rebel Heart. Wouldn't admit it, but it hurts. It might be Mona Lisa, or it might be Joan of Arc, actually. Yes. And even going back as far as Ray of Light, there was the track number 1. She talks about the people in her face, and is it skin?
Swim. Swim.
Yeah. So she like you say, they present a tough front, but they're still.
But if you look at it, Cher's still doing it. So if Cher's still going, then why not them?
Now, Jason, Cher is in a Uber Eats ad in Australia at the moment. Have you seen it?
I've seen it. Yes.
She looks so good that they must have AI'd her. They must have, because I saw her in Mamma Mia 2, and she looked about 60 years older than she does in the commercial, and that was a few years back.
Yeah, there's definitely filtering going on, some kind of sort of filtering.
Because she can't look that good. Yeah. Take me back to the 80s. Do you like the ad?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
It's very funny. Very funny. Cher's got the best sense of humor. Best sense of humor.
My boots. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The only thing that worries me is that she's good friends with Kathy Griffin, and there's something wrong with that woman. But there you go.
They kind of look alike too. If you think, I don't know if Kathy's trying to morph into her. Well, just with curly hair, long curly hair, and the high cheekbones.
High cheekbone. Yeah. I don't know.
I think one's trying to morph into the other. I think Kathy's trying to morph into Cher, not Cher trying to go the other way. I think she's trying to morph into Cher. So no hate to Cher.
Jason, I've loved talking to you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed being on your show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, have you been listening to some episodes or not yet?
I have. I did listen to that Madonna one about that guy. He was a I don't know if I can say dick online, but he was a dick.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that. So, I shouldn't say that. Deftones, ladies and gentlemen. Jason listened to the episode by our guest, Deftones, who's fairly infamous on the Time to Talk show. The famous quote was,
this guy? He's so American. It's not even funny. It's just like,
He said to me, honey, Madonna does stadiums and Kylie
does basements. Yeah. I was like... I don't know. Anyone who's that, I don't know.
And then I had to explain to him that Kylie had made a conscious choice to go to a smaller anyway. Yeah, whatever. I actually have a lot of respect for him. Look, here's the thing: if you have a controversial view, a different view, and you're willing to come on a show and share it, I have respect for that. I have respect.
Like I said, I don't mean that literally. He's a dick. I just kind of thought his point of views were kind of like, okay, that's kind of like odd. That you kind of like he's like, you're saying that Madonna fans love, or Madonna fans are all lovers of everybody, but then you are totally passive aggressively hating on Kylie. It's just like
absolutely.
I didn't get it.
Well, good on you, Jason. Jason, been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for telling us all about the Taiwan show. Yeah. And she's very soon about to land in the United States. It'll be very interesting to see.
In Canada, in Toronto on March 29th.
Sorry, yes. Canada first, then the United States. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I'm sure she'll be well received. But the big question is, because you never played to big American audiences before, how will they receive this particular show, the Tension Show, which is a bit...
I'm willing to put money that I'm willing to put money down that she's actually going to draw a big crowd, and there's going to be big. It's not going to. I don't think it's going to sell it, but I think it's going to do a lot better than Daniel thinks, or not Daniel. Your last guest thought it was going to be.
Oh, I think so. Actually, perfect time to get Deftones on. Why didn't I think of that? She's not in the basement anymore, is she? Wonder what one reason.
Madison Square Garden, I thought. Yeah, Madison Square Garden's a pretty big basement.
Pretty big basement. Good point, Jason. Good point. Thanks for talking to me.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. You're outdoors, aren't you?
I am, because every time we've ever tried this, it drops out, so I've taken it outside.
Oh, aren't you sweet, trying to improve the quality of the connection? But I love the sound. It sounds very Australian. I can hear cicadas.
Yeah, there's a few cicadas. There's some frogs going. And
frogs. That's what I can hear, actually. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not even in the bush, are you?
Well, I'm not far from the bush.
Aren't you in Manly?
No, I've moved to Hornsby. I'm not near Springvale National Park, so I suppose I am pretty close to the.
You are. I can hear. That's a lovely Australian sound behind you. Let's just listen. Hang on a second. Yeah, you have to. Probably the listeners will have to listen hard, but. What was that?
There's a few trucks in there as well.
Yeah. How's for serenity?
Yeah, and quite often the silence is broken with the odd siren as well. So.
Yeah, I've pretty much got the same where I am. Mark, can I make a confession to you that I've never made to anyone else?
What?
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Meghan Markle, you know my friend, Meghan Markle?
Your best mate, Meghan Markle?
My best mate. That's
Me
right.
against Sparkles.
Well, she's influencing me as we speak. I watched that whole Netflix Mummy Markle, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And did you watch it, by the way?
No, I actually don't have any streaming services at the moment. So.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. That's healthy. But I watched it, and one of the things she does in nearly every episode, she makes something that anyone can make, like, I don't know, hummus or whatever. And then she always says, I just love to elevate it. I love to elevate things, ordinary things. I like to elevate it. And she uses the word elevate 4,000 times.
Right.
But here I am. I'm doing exactly what she did in one of the episodes, and I literally went out of my way to do it. I went into Woolworths and found a nectar.
Right.
I can't believe I'm actually saying this after everything I've said about Meghan Markle. I went and got a nectar because she goes, why just have champagne? Elevate it. And then she puts a little bit of nectar or a bloody edible flower. Anyway, I'm sitting here with champagne with nectar in it, and it's bloody good.
Well, you know, she probably got it from someone else. She probably didn't come up with it herself.
Oh, God, no. No. But I'm still doing it because I watched her show, and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed.
I'm sure that, you know, a lot of the things that she does, you know, it's like, you'd probably go, yeah, that's cool, but, you know.
No. She made a rainbow platter out of fruit, and they did the maths on it. Like, honestly, any parent would say, yeah, a platter of fruit's good, but this ridiculous, she makes it into looked like a rainbow, and they did the maths on it. It would have cost something like $400 to make.
Jesus. Well, you know, that's...
I know, it was the biggest rainbow.
Well, fresh fruit and vegetables is not cheap, so it would cost exorbitant amounts to go to that effort. So, but, you know, she's got that money. Why not?
She does. I was quite ashamed of how much plastic she used during the course of that show. What a hypocrite. But anyway. Now, look, we're not here to talk about Meghan Markle. Let's not go down into the dumpster. Thank you very much. I wanted to get you on for a moment because you reached out to me, like many, many of you have, and said, hey, Tim, have you watched The Residence? And that's the Netflix show set in the White House, and Kylie is making more than a cameo in a way. You could call it a cameo. What do you reckon, folks? Let me know. I think it's a bit more than a cameo.
Well, I was pretty surprised when I saw the clip on Facebook this afternoon. I'm like, oh, it's actually a role. She's not just performing a song and then disappearing. So that's good for her, I guess.
Oh, so you haven't seen it yet?
I've only seen the clips, but I do have an opinion about her performance, and it's the same opinion I have of all of her performances. She rushes her lines. That's her biggest problem. She just, and it's probably the Neighbours experience where you just sort of spit the lines at each other and move on. But, you know, I do think that she could actually be a reasonable actress if she slowed down a bit and maybe got some lessons, maybe something like that.
Yeah. I struggle talking about Kylie's acting because, no, I don't know, maybe you're different from me. I'll only speak for myself. I don't like talking poorly about Kylie, but she really shouldn't act. And it sort of makes me quite cranky because I've watched the same clips that you're watching on YouTube, and underneath the comments are...
There's some pretty brutal comments. A lot of people.
Well, I was about to say the opposite.
Well, there was a mix, but there were some brutal ones in there as well.
Oh, well, now I'm not so cranky. I just believe so much in telling the truth. So when you go underneath one of these clips and say, oh, wow, she's done a good job in this show, I'm really sorry, but she hasn't. It's lovely to have her in the show. I wish she'd just stuck to the song, but now that she's become a bit of a character, I cringe. I wish she wouldn't act. Her face just goes wild. Why, when she's in interviews and she's herself, Mark?
I know her face is so relaxed and
so relaxed, and that's what you want when you're acting. You want the relaxed jawline. Literally, I'm the worst actor in the world, but I've been through acting lessons, and I had a very unfortunate 4 years alongside theatre media students who drove me insane. Always with a joint in their hand and a crocheted rainbow beanie on their head. Very irritating people. But I learned from them, some of those principles of acting. In fact, I had to participate. I had to grow from a seed into a tree, all right, in front of an audience of about 200 people. It was the worst moment of my life. Anyway, let's not revisit that. What was I talking about? Yeah, there are some principles of acting, and Kylie doesn't seem to follow any of them.
Yeah, but I think in fairness, she doesn't get an opportunity to do it regularly enough to actually get comfortable doing it. That's the real problem with it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that she just does it because she enjoys it. And if there's an opportunity to get behind it, to get on set and, have a bit of a play, I think she just takes it because she enjoys it.
I'm going to reverse in The Delinquents, I thought she was good. She certainly wasn't over the top, OTT. I think
she was in parts.
Which part?
Well, in that scene that everybody loves where she,
Your definition.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Someone should have actually done a couple. I don't know how many takes they did. I don't know, but they should have actually said, "Hey, you need to slow down a little bit and emphasize certain words," because after a while, when she gets all worked up in those sorts of scenes, it's like you can't really understand what she's saying, and she trips over her words and. I think she needs a director to actually say, hey, Minogue, stop. Let's start again and calm down.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. But something else that just dawned on me, though, is it's when she does comedy. Kylie's idea of comedy is...
she's not good.
Very vaudeville, hugely theatrical. The face goes crazy. Like that skit she did... when a fan broke into her dressing room on the Aphrodite tour.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's just a little, I don't know what it was a skit for. I think it was a commercial. But either way, she just huge eyes, huge face. It's like if she was in your class, you'd go, just stop and tone it down. I'm being the director that you want, Mark. I'm being the director. In fact, I'll get my hands out. I'll put my Meghan Markle drink down. Stop, Kylie, come over here now. Come over here.
That sounds more like Baz Luhrmann.
Oh,
I've actually seen Baz Luhrmann in action.
Have you?
I was an extra on Australia. And,
what?
And he
what?
was... Yeah.
No, don't keep barreling on with the story. Let's go back to that. You were an extra in Australia, which, by the way, I love that movie. I'm obsessed. What did you do in that?
Well, I did some blue screen stuff, and I was wearing a sailor suit and a army suit. So they shot me from doing different poses. So there's no face on the images, but I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of me in the background.
When they were in Darwin, there were a lot of sailors.
But the scene that we were in and we had to do over and over, which was marching back and forth, was that scene where the little boy got taken away in the boat and she's running up the wharf in hysterics. Yeah. That's the scene that I was there for.
So hang on, were you? Did they shoot that separately to when the stars like Hugh Jackman, Nicole Kidman, or were you there when they were doing their thing?
Yeah. Hugh Jackman wasn't in that scene, so I didn't see him. He was around, but Nicole Kidman was in that scene. Yeah.
How far was she from
right there, not very far away from me.
Get out. Mark, you've been on the show like about maybe 6 times and you've never told me that you were an extra in Australia?
It's never come up, so...
Yeah, but you You must be a bit more American in your attitude.
Oh God, there's not much to boast about. I was an extra in that thing that what's her face? Angelina Jolie directed, in inverted commas. There was another person directing it with her. That thing that was shot in Sydney. I can't.
Was she wearing a bonnet? Was it a period piece from memory?
Yeah, it was another war kind of thing.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah. You were in that.
I was an extra in that for a couple of days as well.
Jeez,
interestingly enough,
awesome.
Interestingly enough, just from seeing Angelina Jolie on set and interacting with people, she did seem reasonably down to earth.
She's lovely. I mean, she's got a screw loose, but she's lovely.
I don't know. She didn't seem to. She seemed.
Hang on, here's the siren, everyone.
There's the siren. Yeah. Hey, are you ever driving and you hear a song that has a siren in it, and you sort of like, shit, where is that?
Isn't it terrible? Isn't it terrible? And you're starting to pull over and you go, oh no. Yeah, totally. To me too. It's like, hang on, they should be banned from putting sirens into the layers of songs because it just causes a car accident.
Or just general confusion, really.
Maybe I'm a worse driver. With the Tesla, you have to completely take back control and go, shit, where is it coming from? Where's it coming from? So that's amazing.
Speaking of you and your Tesla, I went camping last weekend and somebody rocked.
Where's this going?
We were in the middle of the Colo River, and someone rocked up in a Tesla, and we're like, "Oh, that's brave!" Turning up in the middle of
why?
You can't plug it in anywhere.
Oh, fair enough. I thought you were going to say, "This is Ute country round here. You can't drive that fucking car around here."
No. It was more, that's brave. There's nowhere to plug it into. I hope you're fully charged and you know where to get you quick smart when you're on your way
they're
up.
a Tesla driver. They're going to be reasonably intelligent for a start.
Well, okay.
That's got you started. Hasn't it?
I just think the idea of plugging your car in everywhere just seems irritating and ridiculous. I'm not doing it.
Well, I want you to imagine a world where every time you're not using your car. All right, no, let's go back a step. Mark, are you in the course of a 24-hour cycle, are you more in your car or not in your car?
Not in my car.
Exactly, right? So when you're not in your car, it can be charging. So that makes sense rather than going to a petrol station as a special time. In the future, when you're not in your car, it'll be doing other things for other people and making you money. How good is that?
Okay. What, you mean like driverless?
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming to, is it California? Los Angeles? Anyway, it's coming, one of those cities by the end of 2025.
Okay, I'm hanging out for the flying car.
If they're not all burnt, if they're not all burnt down by then. Yeah, the flying car, I want one of those too. Where would you land in a flying car?
Where would I land?
Yeah, like I'd fly over Kylie's arena. I'd just land in the middle of a football pitch. Why not?
I don't know. They've got all those restrictions on drones. I'm pretty sure that you'd have the same ones on flying cars. You'd probably have to stick to your freeways.
A whole different set of problems, though, isn't it? When someone breaks the rules in a driving car, that's bad enough. Imagine breaking the rules in a flying car.
Very true.
There you go. And are they going to have flying ambulances and police cars? And will you hear that siren up in the air? It's a whole. I look forward to the future, Mark.
We wouldn't know where it's coming from. It'd be even worse. It's like at least you know that it's coming from around you. It could be coming from above you. It could be coming from under you.
Be a pretty remarkable thing to be able to go, shit, I think that ambulance is right underneath me. Anyway, so Kylie's acting, it's interesting we share the same view because Kylie fans are ferocious around this. They say she can act. You've helped me reach a new conclusion. I think she can act because in Neighbours, as Charlene, she was reasonably good, if not great. And the Delinquents, I thought she was really good even in the harder scenes. And she was a young actress.
She gave a pretty decent performance.
That's because if you think of the scene on the train, for example, that's the scene. Funnily enough, it means nothing, that scene. She's on the train just before they get caught. She's with Charlie and he brings her a cup of tea. She acts like Kylie would if you brought her a cup of tea. And that's what your director wants. Don't go, oh, thank you for this beautiful cup of tea. You want the way she did it, which is very much the way any normal person would act. Yet when she gets a comedy, Kylie seems to think, She's got just those faces that she's pulling in The Residence. I can't. And what the show in general, I know you haven't watched it, but I can't. I'm just not smart.
It's not what I
smart
thought.
enough for it.
I thought it was going to be something a little bit more serious when I saw the write-ups for it, but it looks like I hate to say it looks like one of those comedies that's like da-da-da-da-da-da, laugh. It's like...
It is. It is. Yeah. It's got that rhythm. Yeah, totally. I love the main actress. The only reason I watched I think I got up to episode 4 and then I bailed because I just was like, I don't understand who that is. I don't understand what's happening. Am I meant to be smart enough to be guessing who the murderer is at this stage? It disturbed me to see my favorite character from Breaking Bad playing a waiter, essentially. And Julian McMahon's face was just too much. That was
he in it as well? Oh, okay.
It was all over Red Rover when I saw him.
But like, just in general, though, I think that the murder mystery genre really suffers from the technology that goes into murder investigation these days. It's like,
why can't you solve this? Exactly.
It's like there's no story, and there's no mystery because really they would figure it out very quickly.
Yeah, instead you've got this wonderful, the world's best detective, they call her. She drops to her knees and she lays on the floor. She does all kinds of unusual things, but you're absolutely right. I could come in there with a petri dish and an ear swab and have the mystery solved.
Actually, speaking of murder mystery type things, I'm actually very excited for the new Scream movie that's meant to be coming out next year.
Scream? It doesn't have that woman from Friends in it again, does it?
Yes, she's in it again.
Oh, hasn't she been murdered about 18 times? Oh, can they stop?
Well, she should have actually been dead at the end of the last one. But
my daughter, who's only 14, 15, she's into Friends, which is fascinating to me because she's not really a retro, but she loves it. And she goes, the only part of Friends I don't like is Monica. Yeah. Who was your favourite friend?
Phoebe.
Of course.
But
of course.
I remembered her from Mad About You before Friends started. So
was she in that? Was she?
Yeah, you know how she had the twin sister Ursula in Friends?
Yeah. Well, I thought she played Ursula.
Yeah, she did. But she played Ursula in Mad About You, and they sort of connected the universes of the two shows by having her as the waitress in Mad About You, but also Phoebe in Friends' twin sister. And then she ended up... I mean, they changed the character by the time she got... the series of Friends went on. She was way more insane and actually quite nasty. Like way more than she ever was in Mad About You.
Oh, there you go. It's such a girl show, Friends. It's fascinating. I remember at uni, like every girl in the dorm would gather in one of the dorm rooms to watch it. And now watching my daughter watch it, like they just love it. They love it. And I love it too. But no, that's not true. I'll watch it and think, yeah, it's bloody well written and well acted and executed. But yeah, I don't know. I can take it or leave it.
I kind of lost interest in Friends like back in the day around season 3. Like I liked season 1 and 2, and then it just seemed to get really over the top, and the characters became way too caricature-y. But that was the style at the time. So
it was, and that was every sitcom. Even the Golden Girls frustrates me, which is I am a mega fan of the Golden Girls. And Blanche, like anytime anything about a man, anything about a mattress, anything about oil, they would go to that predictable joke. And I just think, yeah, it's too cheap and nasty. But Mark, before you go, are you still an extra?
No, I haven't got time. Well, I would at the moment because I don't have a job, but I generally don't have time for that. And
you would at the moment because you don't have a job. When you said you were doing interviews all day in text to me before this chat, I thought you were interviewing people, but you were attending interviews, were you?
I'm attending interviews. I was made redundant.
Did you resign?
No, I didn't resign. I was made redundant. I was given the option for another job, but I'm one of those people that don't take my annual leave, and I've accumulated a lot of long service leave, and there was 14 weeks of pay on top of that. Like I had about 400 hours of annual leave, so I took the money and ran.
sorry to interrupt you, but knowing a thing or two about this, you were an expensive redundancy. That was a big call for them to make you redundant because you're an expensive one if you've been around for a lot of years or you leave. That's a big call.
Well, that was their
Being
decision,
counter.
and I have to just, I could have stayed in a lesser role, but I thought I'm better off taking my money and starting again. So
You'll get work. Are you confident?
Look, I've only had 2 interviews, and I guess I'll have to see at the end of the week.
Are you excited about either one of them?
I'm excited about both of them, actually.
Yeah, are they leadership roles?
Yes.
Because you're a bit of a leader, so you want to fall back into that again?
Well, yeah, like I do enjoy working with staff and, helping them to, get better hours for themselves and showing them how to do that by actually putting a hand up for work and things. So,
some people, if they're made redundant and you've moved as well, like you've had a lot of change in your life, they'd be a little bit scared. But are you seeing this as an opportunity?
I definitely see it as an opportunity, and I am looking for some casual work so that I can, not burn through my money as quickly as not having any work. So, we'll take. There's no point in rushing, and there's no point in stressing myself out because that's actually going to just make it harder. Someone once said to me that if you walk into an interview and they can smell the desperation on you, you've had it.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. And it's such a shame because some people are probably attending for all the right reasons, but because they're starting to lose hope, it just dominates that little period of time you've got with them, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and you just think, wow, you're not in a good place. And if it comes through, it makes you nervous as a recruiter. It makes you nervous.
Well, I think it makes everybody nervous, and if there's somebody that's coming across more confident, you're going to remember them. So,
yeah, but don't be too confident, especially in Australia, because we don't like that either.
It depends who's interviewing you. Like, there's some other people that have been in the same situation as me that were made redundant as well, and they've said that it's been a real mixed bag of. I'll call them behaviour types,
right?
With the way, like, some people can be really aggressive and sort of make you feel uncomfortable, and then you come in, like the ones that I've had this week were really, really welcoming and made you, like, tried to make you feel a little bit more at ease, and like there was none of that. But I've heard some awful stories about people walking into these interviews, and one person I know actually said, "I'm going to stop the interview here. This is not the sort of company that I would like to work for," and left.
Oh, really? That's a bit extreme. Wow. Yeah. My only advice is talk about the client, the person, the product. Don't talk about yourself too much unless you are specifically directed and encouraged to. Those people that come in and do the hard sell on you, it's very off-putting. I don't know if it's an Australian cultural thing. We don't like big noting. Well, I don't. I should talk for myself.
It's funny.
Someone comes in and goes, I've studied 3 degrees and I've got extensive experience in this, this, and this. Well, I didn't actually ask you that. I asked you, why did you apply for this job? And if you're not telling me it's because I believe in the product, the person, the client, the cause, then frankly, I'm pretty much, and I have a secret signal with the people that support me to interview. And I do, I bring some of those to a close. It sounds harsh, but you don't want to put someone through a 40-minute session if you know that they haven't mentioned the client, the cause, the product in the first question, and they've only spoken about themselves. That's a big red flag.
Well, I mean, I will be honest. There were things that I did want to draw their attention to that I hope I was. What's the word? I hope I was able to, include those things without it, like in a natural way, is what I mean. So hopefully,
but Mark, you'll get that opportunity, and I'm sure you did because you speak beautifully and you do believe in what you do. I know that for a fact. So it probably comes across, but please, nobody who's listening misread what I just said. You can sell yourself. Just wait till you get there, because there'll be questions that ask you to sell yourself.
Yeah, that's
wait for those right from the beginning. Why did you apply for? I asked someone why they applied for a job recently. They went, well, I had to move from X to Y recently, and then my child and daycare, and I want to look after my child. So look, I'm finding myself in this place, and so I just saw the ad, and I thought, oh well, I've got nothing to lose. What the hell? This is someone with 15, 20 years experience. Exactly. Like, and so in other words, you don't believe in, and I'm going to do it one more time because I'm repetitive, the cause, the client, the person, the product, the belief, the principle. You're doing it because all this stuff, all this shit in your personal life, which I didn't ask you about. But at the same time, honest answer, Mark. It told me, okay, honestly, you don't believe in any of that stuff. So honestly, I can tell you, you're not a fit for this role. You poor thing. It's been a long time since you've been through the interview circuit.
It's been about 10 years. I've been at the same place for 10 years. So
yeah. You'll get there. And that corny phrase, everything for a reason. You've just had a move of location. You've been made redundant, but you're bloody good at what you do.
That's the other thing that instead of getting, what's the word, defeatist and angry about the situation, like I think to myself, you know what? If I had have waited to buy my own place until this year, and this happened before I got an opportunity to do it, I'd probably have never been able to make it work.
Because you were trying to buy a place, but it fell through, right?
Well, no, I did buy a place in the end. It was actually the same.
Oh, you did?
It was the one that fell through. But if I had have been made redundant before I did that, I wouldn't. You would have got too nervous. Well, I wouldn't have had that work history to back up my application. Like I wouldn't have gotten the loan because I wouldn't have had that. So I can at least be like, well, I'm really grateful, and I am really grateful.
Are you renting out that unit, are you?
No, I live in it.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, mate. I'm all confused. You were renting in a seaside town, and now you bought a place a little bit further where you are now. Well, I'm trying not to call out where you lived. I'm not trying. Manly then, all right? It was Manly.
I lived down in Manly. I suppose it's a seaside town, I guess.
Of course it's a seaside town. It's a town and it's near the sea. What more do you want, Mark?
It just sounds very weird calling it that.
We're all going on a summer holiday. Yeah, I know what you mean. Exactly. It's too quaint for Manly, right? Seaside town.
Yeah. Actually, did I tell you, speaking of Northern Beaches, which is where I grew up, a little bit further north than Manly, a friend of mine when I was in high school, I may have told you this actually, his house was used to film Muriel's wedding in.
Yes, you did. And someone else told me that too. No, you told me that, but then you told me that part, but I think you told me because I had that lovely, lovely gentleman who made the Muriel's Wedding documentary on this show. By the way, folks, go and look that up. Muriel's Wedding turns 35. I think that's why the conversation came up between you and I, because he was stalking, is the wrong word, but he was visiting all the locations for his documentary. A great documentary. Please go back and look up Muriel's Wedding turns 35, everyone. It's a great podcast.
Well, we had many a house party as teenagers in that house. Lots of drunken teenage stuff.
Remind people which house it was.
Which
in the movie I'm talking about.
Oh, the one that Muriel and her family lived in at Porpoise. Yeah. And BMX Bandits, that was filmed at Warringah Mall.
Was it?
Yep.
Nicole Kidman's first movie. I think
it was.
Yes.
I think it was her first one. Actually,
it was certainly the film where she had the biggest hair.
Well, the mall looks very, very different. But I remember seeing BMX Bandits probably about 15 years ago. And I'm like, I remember what the mall looked like. It looked exactly the same.
And Nicole Kidman, I didn't know she was on A Country Practice, but I've just joined the new.
I even remember that episode that she was on. It was this real anti-drug thing, and they had like this guy that smoked he smoked a joint, and then he ended up dying. It was just so unrealistic. And then Nicole Kidman's like the ringleader who's pushing the drugs on everybody, and she learns a lesson with. It's like, oh my God.
She must end up in the hospital, of course.
No, everyone else OD'd. She was fine. She was the one that was handing it out.
If you smoke dope, this is what will happen to your hair. Yeah, I didn't know she was only on it for one episode. I've joined this new Instagram page, which I'm going to give a shout out if I can remember the name, because some dear Australian person like you and I, who's really into, I suppose you call it vintage TV, they're finding all these old commercials and clips and just segments, and it's fantastic. I end up right down a rabbit hole before I fall asleep looking at old.
Is it on Facebook or YouTube?
It's Instagram. I've upgraded, Mark. See, I'm in the 21st, what century are we in? There it is. Ellie's, I think it's pronounced Ellie's Savage, but I'm going to spell it out. E-double-L-E. Oh, L is Savage. Bloody Meghan Markle and her champagne. L is Savage. E-double-L-E-I-S, Savage. And right now, it's got an E Street promo from 1992. Every time I open my Instagram, it's the first thing to pop up with a new clip. And someone's going hell for it. They're uploading stuff every single day, and I'm just loving it.
Where do these people get this stuff from? Like, did they just tape things back in the day?
Exactly. And it's true, Mark, because you can tell it's all been converted from VHS because you can just, you can tell. But yeah, and there was an ad, get this, there was an ad which I knew very well back in the day where they move into a new house and the little girl can't find her teddy bear and then she sits on the stair and cries and the mother finds it.
Is that the LJ Hooker one?
I think it is. Yes, it is.
Where they move and then it's like the teddy bear's not there and then the person from LJ Hooker turns up at the end and hands her the teddy bear. It's like...
I think I remember that one. I think it's slightly different. This one is about something to do with food. Anyway, like I think it's as simple as Vegemite or something like that. Anyway, either way, no matter what the product is, I saw the ad when I was young 4 billion times, but now I'm watching it on L is Savage on Instagram, and it turns out that mother that I saw 4 billion times is Susan from Neighbours.
Oh,
and
really?
It was her first ever TV appearance, according to the Instagram page. Anyway, it was her first ever role that she won on TV. So there you go.
There you go.
It's a fascinating little world we live in, Mark. All right, well, look, I'm going to let you go back to your highway and listen to the sirens and the toads and the frogs and the cicadas.
No, I'm gonna watch a movie tonight, I think.
Oh, yeah? What are you going to watch?
I'm going to watch Ready or Not with
Ready or
Samara
Not?
Weaver.
Samara Weaver? Is that Sigourney Weaver's daughter?
No, Samara Weaving. Sorry,
Oh, Weaving. Is that Hugo Weaving's daughter?
It's Hugo Weaving's daughter. Sorry. I was watching Alien earlier today, so that's probably why I had Weaver in my head.
Weaver and Weaving.
Yeah.
And what's it called? Ready or Not?
Ready or Not. It's got apparently it's got Andy McDowell in it as the matriarch of this wealthy family. So I'll let you know what I think of it.
And you go old school, just for people who don't know. Mark's not about to go in and put that on Netflix. He's probably going to put on an old Blu-ray or something.
It is actually on DVD. Someone lent it to me.
I love it. Good for you. I love talking to you, Mark.
Thank you very much. I love talking to you.
Somebody break the tension. I wanna break the tension.
Two 2009, I believe, was the last time that our Kylie performed in Canada. And that was for you, for me, I believe it was. So 2009, and it's 2025 now, so long overdue. Ewan is with me. He just got back from a show. I know nothing, no spoilers. Who knows? Maybe a completely different tension to a Ewan. I don't know. Can you tell me all about it?
Absolutely. I didn't see the shows in Sydney except for what was online on YouTube and other people's social media. So I don't know how much different it was from the shows that were in Australia, but it was really quite fantastic. I was kind of concerned at first when
all those
I saw
messages, Ewan, are people still messaging you about Kylie, are they?
They totally are. I have literally, I'm not kidding, I've got about 20 friends who've flown into Toronto to see the show. And so they're all like, we're all on a Kylie high at the moment. The show ended about, I'd say half an hour ago. And then I was in a giant mob on the Toronto subway to get back. It was just
nice. Amazing. Kylie caused a riot, but I just love the ding, 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 ding. Talking about tension.
All talking about tension. So
I love that. Sorry, you were saying that at the beginning you were what? That you cut out at that point?
Well, I was just simply saying I hadn't seen the Australia shows, so I don't know how much different it is. But it was really funny because Kylie did mention in the middle of the show, she said, it's been a long time since I've been here. Does anybody remember when I was last here? And there was like a rousing shout from the crowd. And she was like, oh, that long. It's been way too long.
They gave her the right answer, I hope.
They gave her the right answer, yes.
And I'm right, aren't I? 2009.
That is correct.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, look, I complain sometimes when Kylie hasn't been to Australia in a while, but waiting since 2009, I mean, I can only imagine, Ewan, at the start of a show, when she arrived, it must have been rapturous, if that's a word.
It was, and the thing is, I think certainly by the end, everybody was on their feet, just extremely ecstatic and grateful that she was here and that she came to Toronto and she didn't skip Toronto this time. And I think she just really won the crowd over. And she was just, again, so gracious. She was just lovely. And you could see that kindness and sincerity just really came through.
For those of you who don't know, Ewan went to all bar 2, I think it was, of the Las Vegas shows. So we're talking to a mega Kylie fan. That's right, isn't it, Ewan?
No, I actually saw all of them except one.
All bar 1. Oh, there you go. Which is amazing. So take us through it. We need to know everything about this show from the beginning onwards.
Okay. So it was at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, which used to be called the Air Canada Centre. I've actually seen several shows there, but I haven't been to a show there in quite some time. And it was just amazing as we were walking through the venue, entering the venue. They've done a lot of improvements since I was last here. And one of them was they had a giant video screen on the ceiling as you walked into the venue. Wow. And they, of course, had a huge picture of Kylie. And there were like lighted panels on each side as you entered the venue, which weren't there before. And of course, the image of Kylie, the Tension Tour picture with her in the red vinyl against the blue background. It was just amazing. And
so they had, honestly, this arena was Minogue Kingdom for the night.
Absolutely. They turned it into Minogue Kingdom for sure. And in addition, there were like a lot of people just outside the arena selling the bootleg T-shirts and everything. So
really?
You definitely got the sense you were in Minogue land.
Well, that's something I haven't heard from any other shows. Certainly at the Sydney shows that I went to, no bootleg. Because, I mean, they have a crackdown. You just wouldn't get away with it here in Australia. But I didn't ask that question of the people who went to the Bangkok, Tokyo, Taiwan, all the Asian shows. I wonder if it was true there. But so what were they selling? Just T-shirts and...
Yeah, I saw 4 different T-shirts that were all along the same, tension theme. One had the famous dress from Lights, Camera, Action on one T-shirt. Another one had the red vinyl outfit I just said on the blue background. Yeah. And then another one had just multiple pictures of Kylie in black and white, which I didn't end up buying because I didn't think it was very nice looking.
But be honest, Ewan, what was some of the merchandise being sold as bootleg? better than the merchandise that was official? Because it wasn't up to much as far as I could see, the official
I have to
merchandise.
say, I think the one or two bootleg shirts I did buy were actually better and very cheap. They were 20 Canadian dollars, so
Wow.
it was
As
not expensive.
opposed to how much for an official?
65 for the official
65
t-shirts. Yeah.
for a t-shirt.
65 Canadian.
65 Canadian dollars.
That's a lot.
That's
in my
ridiculous, honestly. Anyway, let's not dwell in the negative, but you're giving us a beautiful sense. You're outside the arena. It's a Minogue kingdom. There's bootleggers. There's a rush of people who haven't seen us since 2009. And probably, would I be right to say, a mixture of new fans as well?
Oh, opinion. A lot of new Canadian fans, a lot of fans. I ran into many fans that flew in from various U.S. or Canadian cities that have never seen Kylie before. For some reason, they chose to come to opening night at Toronto, which is great. And we met so many of these fans on like the subway going down to the venue, at the venue going in. Just, it was lovely. It was almost like a Kylie love fest for everybody in the North American continent.
Oh, that's wonderful. A beautiful description. I've got to say that's what I reported after the Sydney shows. Apart from the show, the biggest thing that struck me was the love in the air. I'm talking about before the show started. It was like just no aggro, lovely community almost, right?
Absolutely. And so, of course, when I went with a friend who I met at Voltaire during the Las Vegas residency, and his name was Scott, and when Scott and I took our seats, I'm not kidding. We recognized probably at least 20 people around us who were we either met at Voltaire or met at various other Kylie concerts. So we ran into a lot of famous people. I ran into one of your most recent podcast guests. I ran into Efrat there, and we took a few photos.
Yay! Hello, Efrat.
Yeah.
I know you'll be listening.
And, I thought that interview she gave with you was just lovely, very touching.
Oh, she was wonderful. I'm very surprised I've never had a conversation with her in all these years, because she's been around as long as I have. It was wonderful to touch base.
Yeah, she is like, if I had to name one person who is like the utmost Kylie fan, I think Efrat would be that person.
Oh, she's got to be close to taking that trophy, doesn't she? Hey, did she have the doll? I mean, a silly question, probably.
And she had the lights, camera, action dress on as usual.
She must dry clean it a lot.
She's getting a lot of wear out of it. And I wore my T-shirt with the photo of me and Kylie, so I'm getting a lot of wear out of that.
I love that. That's a beautiful photo as well. She was on the red carpet for the Grammys? No?
It was the American Billboard Women in Music Awards.
That's right. Yeah. And I think one of you perched your face on the other one's shoulder. I think it might be Kylie on your shoulder. It was a lovely photo.
Yeah, she was very sweet that night, and she put her head on my shoulder, and we took the picture, and it turned out lovely. And a lot of people, of course, at the venue noticed it, and they're like, "We love your T-shirt." So it was great.
Is so cool. So lots of community before the shows even started.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I didn't even realize, I didn't feel like I had to wait for Kylie to get on the stage, because I was saying hello to everybody that I knew right up to the last minute. And then when I looked at my watch and I realized it was 8:30, which was the scheduled time that Kylie was supposed to take the stage, I realized I better get to my seat because the show is about to begin. And sure enough, as soon as I took the seat, I think I only had to wait maybe 30 seconds before Kylie, the show began and Kylie took the stage. So I didn't feel like there was a lot of waiting or downtime before her performance began.
And that's our Kylie. Punctual, efficient, sensible.
Yeah.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
What was there tension in the air? Was there a big build in this particular arena before the show started?
Oh, for sure. And I believe the beginning of the show was very similar to the Australian shows, with the light show at the beginning with the Kylie saying, Toronto, we have to break the tension, and it just was really fantastic. And as that was happening, you could see people were really getting very excited. Like, I mean, as soon as the lights went down and that began, people were on their feet. They jumped to their feet and they were already like clapping and really excited to see the show. And I was just, it was marvelous. Before the show began, you could see like the wires for her swing. And at one point before the lights went down, I could see the wires were kind of vibrating or shaking. And I thought, she's probably getting on the swing right now. And then sure enough, when the show began and everything, I did record. I knew what to expect having seen some of the footage on YouTube. So I kept my, camera phone on the swing, and sure enough, she went up while it was dark and you could see her go to the top, and the diamond formed just as it did in the Australian shows. And luckily it wasn't malfunctioning that I could tell. It was the complete diamond, and she was at, obviously near the top, and she started with lights, camera, action, and then they lowered the swing and she went right into that. And it was just really, fantastic. And I tried my best. While I did see a little bit of the footage of the Australian and the Asian shows, I try not to watch too much because I wanted to really be surprised.
But you did watch, and that's disappointing. Why? You just couldn't resist? Why did you do it?
Well, you know me. I mean, like anywhere Kylie is, I want to be.
Yeah. Look, I'm being all smug here. I only had to black out for a week or so that was feasible. But if I'd had to wait as long as you did, there's no doubt I would have been tempted into watching the socials. That's for sure. So as far as you could tell, was the show generally the same set list? Or is it hard for you to compare because you did do a bit of blackout before the show?
Yeah, no, I believe it was exactly the same. And for the two songs which was the audience request portion of the show, she performed "Wow" and she performed "Where the Wild Roses Grow." So that was very an interesting choice of those two. So
and were they fan requests, or had she got them preset, do you reckon?
Well, she said they were fan requests, but I think it was a little bit preset because, when she said, "Does anybody have any requests?" I mean, so many people were shouting, and she even said, "There's no way I can hear, anything," because there was so many people shouting song names out. And then she went up to her backup dancer and she goes, "This is the one that I think we're going to do." And so I think that was already pre-selected in my opinion.
Do you know what, Ewan? I'm glad you're opening this can of worms. I believe that maybe with the exception of Bangkok, it might have been Bangkok, because there was a lady who was on my show, Giang, and she was holding a sign saying, "Please stay," as in Kylie, please stay in Thailand, but the double meaning, right, with the song. So Kylie did sing "Please Stay." So there's a bit of evidence that, okay, that was spontaneous, but I often wonder how spontaneous they really are, because you've got all those fans and you would hear the one that you've got in your mind, wouldn't you? If you were Kylie, like, I heard "Wow" over here, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you have, like, if I was given the opportunity to be able to request a song, I would really definitely do something far more unusual.
Exactly. Tell us. What would you?
I don't know. I think I would probably shout "Butterfly."
Yeah, good on you. That's a great choice.
That's one of my favorite shows songs from Light Years, and that would be a song I would love to hear her do an a cappella version.
I'm right into the demo of "Butterfly" at the moment, I have to say. It's amazing. I actually think I'm liking it better than the Light Years version. But there you go. So where were you sitting, Ewan, in this big arena?
Oh, I'm happy. I was third row from the main stage. So, if she was on the main stage, I was really quite close to her. And I got a lot of good video footage, which I'll be uploading, of course, to my Facebook page. Now, when she was at the end of the catwalk, I was looking at her back. So you get an idea. I was on the right side of the catwalk, 3 rows back from the main stage. So it
would have been perfect for you when she was doing the Real Groove, when she returns from the center stage. I think she's doing Real Groove at that stage.
Correct.
Yeah, and then she's right on the right side there, I think. And for that whole edge of Saturday night part would have been a good vantage point for you, I'm imagining.
Mm-hmm. It was great. You're right. When she was returning from the B stage, she walked right past me, and it was just lovely to see her up close. And even though I was fairly close already, but to be even closer was amazing. And
I'm surprised she didn't go, "Hey, the guy from Vegas, how are you?"
I had the T-shirt on, hoping that she would see it and say that, but I think the problem was I was, as I said, 3 rows back, and then probably about 3 people in from the from the catwalk. So I think it was a little bit hard to see me. But tomorrow I have a front row for Montreal, and we're going to try again.
You're taking a bigger T-shirt. I like it. So she's renowned at this stage for creating intimacy despite the big arenas for the Tension Tour. I don't know how she does it. It was very intimate at Sydney, despite the fact that it was a huge spectacle of a show, particularly when she gets into that centre stage. What conversations did she have with the Canadian audience tonight?
Oh, she was lovely. She kept mentioning it's been far too long since I was last here. And, she always said, Toronto, are you ready to break the tension? She kept mentioning Toronto, and every time she did, everybody would scream and applaud. And then, of course, in Confide in Me, on the visual screen, she had a little neon sign, and it said, "Are you feeling lonely, Toronto? If so, call." And then that famous 555 number. And when people saw that, they just lost their minds.
I wonder if she's done that in every city. Probably people listening will be going, "Of course she has, Tim," but I don't remember seeing "Are you feeling lonely, Sydney?" And I've not had anyone say that to me. So that's interesting. Maybe I've just missed it for every show. How cool is that? That's pretty clever. I like that.
That was really, really, really cool. I enjoyed it very much, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and as I mentioned in the previous podcast I was on, I grew up in Canada, so it was so nice to be back and to experience Kylie in my home country, and it was just to feel all the Torontonians giving her that love and everything. It was just really, really quite amazing.
The highlights of the show for you, Ewan?
Oh, without a doubt. It was the set in the middle where we heard "What Do I Have to Do?"
Yes.
Shocked. Better the Devil You Know. Last Night I Dreamt I Fell in Love. Like all those songs, which she did not perform at Voltaire in Las Vegas. That was for me the highlight, because I heard the version of Come Into My World. I've heard that version of Hold On To Now, which is what she performed in Vegas. So for me, the highlights were all the songs that were in addition to those tracks that I heard previously.
Yeah.
So, and me, we've talked about this before, but I'm like old school Kylie. I love Rhythm of Love, and so those singles that came from that album, to hear them live, which, as you know, for North American fans, are a rarity. She just doesn't perform them all that often.
Maybe this was the first time.
Certainly for, I think, Better the Devil You Know. No, she did that on the For You For Me tour, I remember. But certainly, but the last one I heard.
And What Do I Have to Do would have got maybe What Do I Have to Do was performed at the Aphrodite tour, but not necessarily the For You For Me.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've heard those songs live. So I was very excited, and that was definitely the highlight.
So they were the highlights for you. But what did you notice when, at what points in the show did the Canadian crowd erupt? Was it more typically at the big moments like Can't Get You Out of My Head, would you say? Or where was it where you felt the pleasure in the room?
Certainly in the beginning, like when people heard In Your Eyes, Come Into My World, I saw people began to really get into the show. And for sure at the end, when Can't Get You Out of My Head, Padam Padam came on, it was just like, by then the entire stadium was on their feet and just losing their minds. And of course, all the lovers, they were just losing their minds.
Wow. So Canadians really get into a Kylie show by the sound of it. Like there was not much sitting. There's a lot of interaction. There's lots of dancing. It sounds like there's a lot of energy in that arena.
There was. And again, I think it's just the excitement and the gratitude of seeing her. And she has bypassed Toronto, so much. And so I think the fans were just really, really ready to let her know, hey, we're happy to see you and we want you to come back soon. And I can't wait to see the show tomorrow in Montreal because she's never performed in Montreal. And so let's see how the French Canadians take to it. I'm sure they're going to just go crazy for her. So
how does that arena compare? Fairly much the same size, would you say?
Yeah, I've been to the arena in Montreal many times, mostly to see Celine Dion, who at one point could be found performing there almost any night you choose. But yeah, I'm excited to get back there and see the show in Montreal. And I have to tell you something. Growing up in Eastern Canada, the crowds in Montreal tend to be far more expressive than the ones in Toronto. Something to do with that French Canadian culture. They sing along. They really get into the show. I mean, they're just. I've always, whenever I've seen shows, the same show in like Toronto, Montreal, the Montreal crowd has always just been completely bonkers and crazy.
Shout out again to Efrat, who was on our show before. In case you don't know who we're referring to, go back and have a listen. She's amazing as a Kylie fan. When I asked her what would you change about the Tension tour, Ewan, she said, they're all fashion words, so I'll get muddled here. But essentially, when Kylie comes out, she had like a big, triangle between her leg. Basically, the dress dangled to the floor.
Right.
I'm looking at your clip as we speak of her arriving on the stage. She's got pretty much the same dress that she wore in Australia and Asia, but it's absolutely cropped like a miniskirt.
Yes, it was. And she didn't wear that dress with the, it looked like, the point at the bottom.
Like a train, maybe it's called. I don't know. I'm trying to get my words, but people know what I mean. It was long. Whereas this is, and again, Toby, if you're listening too, you want sexy? My God, she's showing some leg, Ewan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought the costumes, the outfits tonight were all extremely lovely. I was not disappointed with any outfit that she wore this evening. And she just looked really lovely. And I took so many photos. And I mean, you'll see within 24 hours, my Facebook page will be just turned into a Kylie.
Well, for those of you,
appreciation page.
Plenty of people are salivating right now. So look up Ewan Mark on Facebook, and you'll be able to see all of this amazing footage that you've captured and the photos that will soon go up. Ewan, I've been dying to ask you this as someone who went to the Vegas shows, like one would argue excessively, all bar one, and you got very accustomed and maybe even Kylie acclimatized to that style of show, that size of show, that type of room she was in. Was it a weird experience for you to be in such a large venue after experiencing so many very small, intimate shows?
It was a little bit, but I really felt that this tour was just an expanded, more elaborate version of the Voltaire show. I felt like a lot of the arrangements for the songs, particularly like Come Into My World, Tension, the beginning of Tension and the beginning of All the Lovers, was just very similar in the arrangement that we saw in Las Vegas. So I really felt that what she did with this tour was she said, you know what, the Vegas show was a hit. Let me take this show and expand on it and take it to the rest of the world. And that's what I felt that this tour was. And I really felt like it was just an even better version of the Voltaire show with more songs, amazing costumes, better visuals, and so I really felt it was just an expanded version of the Voltaire show, and she just took all the great parts of the Voltaire show, and just made it even bigger and better.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I was watching the Sydney show. I had a moment when I wasn't having an out-of-body experience, that is. I had a moment where I went, I think this is like Vegas on steroids. Some people have gone to the tension show, Ewan, and their last shows were, Fever and Light Years and Kiss Me Once maybe, and even the Golden Show. And they said, not too negatively, but I have said it feels like a scaled down show for Kylie. But for you, in your perspective, coming from the Vegas shows, it must have felt scaled up. Do you understand where people are coming from when they say this is a different type of Kylie show? It's not Aphrodite?
Of course. I've, as you already know, I did see the Aphrodite tour, and I did see the Fever tour and the Showgirl tour in Europe. So I know the big over-the-top productions that she's famous for. And I'll be quite honest, when I first started seeing the footage of the Australian shows with the very scaled-down stage and big focus on the video screens and less focus on the props and the, on stage, I was a little bit disappointed, but I said, you know what, I'm going to reserve my judgment or opinion until I see the show myself. And then I'll, render my opinion. And I have to say, it is a different show, but I enjoyed it very much nonetheless. I was extremely happy and ecstatic at the end. And I had that feeling, that wonderful feeling you get when you see a show or a movie and you just go, wow, I am so glad I spent the money to see that. And I had that feeling. So I was not disappointed at all. And I think part of that is because the set list, in my opinion, was really quite exceptional. To include songs like Time Bomb, which, are just so rare. And so the set list was exceptional. Her costumes, as I said tonight, her outfits were she just looked lovely in every single one of them. I'm sorry, what was that?
And the voice?
Voice was great, and as I said, she exudes a charm and a down-to-earth generosity that just comes through when she's live. And I think people really appreciate that. And yeah, it just wins people over. That's all I can say.
I asked you this once before, Ewan, but you hadn't seen the show yet, obviously. I asked you, what do you think the American audiences in the USA will make of our Kylie when they see her in a full throttle? Because for me, great show, was scaled back. This is the full experience. Now that you've seen Tension, will it translate for the average American fan?
I think so. I really do. I think they've been so starved for any kind of live performance from Kylie. I think that they're going to really love it. And of course, I'm talking about the North Americans who couldn't make it to Vegas to see the show there. I think they are just going to love this show because it's just the set list is so impressive. It includes all of her favorites. And she just is just so charming. I mean, the charm just comes through, and I don't think they'll be disappointed at all.
I don't know how you could be in an arena with Kylie and not sort of fall in love with the presence. How someone so small can captivate such a large space is beyond me. Last question, Ewan, I'm dying to know, did she finish the same way that she has everywhere else? Was it love at first sight?
Yes, of course. That seems to be her.
Oh,
her
no! If there was one change, I still don't get it. And I know that I've heard some people involved in the show have actually heard a few of the podcasts. So I'm just going to say it again, just in case. Let people leave the arena pedaming, please, Kylie, please. What do you reckon about that? Am I on the wrong track? Is Love at First Sight the right closing track?
Well, she seems to like it. I kind of agree.
Well, that's what everyone says. Sorry, but you're being very polite. Everyone says that. Kylie likes it. Kylie likes it. She wrote it. She's proud of it. I know. That doesn't mean that it should be the closer of the show.
And, I think that, maybe Padam closing would, be a really solid, great, strong way to end the show. But, she loves Love at First Sight. And it is the song that I heard her end the 21 shows in Vegas with. So I'm used to it. So when she, we got we got time for one more song. I was like, love at first sight.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She does love it. She's very proud of it, is a better way of putting it, in my opinion. I think she's proud of the fact that she had a huge hand in writing that song.
The other, I forgot to mention when you asked me what was the highlight for me, I also loved, of course, the mashup of all the songs from Disco. That was also really wonderful moment for me. Again, none of the disco songs, with the exception of Supernova for the very first show at Voltaire, was performed. And so it was nice to hear Real Groove and Magic, Where Does the DJ Go? It was really great. And Say Something, of course.
And Say Something, yep.
Yeah, Say Something is my favorite song from Disco. So it was lovely to finally hear it live. I don't think I've ever heard it live until tonight, so...
Oh, Ewan, it sounds like you had an amazing time, and it sounds like everyone who went had an amazing time, because you can read the room, and you certainly have given us a great description. The room was on fire tonight in Toronto, and tomorrow, Montreal. So as we speak, she might be having a little nap, I don't know, on a plane or something, I imagine. How she gets there, I don't know why I'm so interested in the logistics. I always have been. Does she leave in the morning? Does she leave tonight? Who knows? Maybe she's in one of the roadie cases, like I suggested you should be before. I don't know how she does it. But amazing you get to go. And I'm so glad you had a great time. Thanks for telling us all about it.
Well, thank you for having me again. And I'm always happy to talk anything Kylie with you and all the listeners. So,
well, here's the deal I want to make with you. You're going to Madison Square Garden, right?
Unfortunately, I'm not.
Oh.
I will be in Montreal tomorrow. I will then see the show in Phoenix in approximately a
Vegas,
month.
aren't you? Is that Phoenix?
Phoenix, Arizona, and then
yes.
I will see the final show in Los Angeles.
Right, okay. Well, I want to talk to you again before the tour ends. Is that okay?
Of course, absolutely.
I'd love to do that. Thanks, Ewan.
Thank you so much, Tim.